Hello everybody, in this video I'm reviewing this. You might ask, well, what is this thing? This is the Dome Classic made by Yoga Sleep sound machine. And what this is basically a sleep aid. And the unique thing about this is it's not electronic, it's analog. So what it does is it produces white noise to help you sleep, but it does it in a really nice, pleasant way because it's not an artificial sound, it's an actual fan inside that doesn't really blow air around, but it's a asymmetrical fan inside that actually helps make the noise and just produces a really nice purr to kind of make a relaxing sound environment for you. So this is it in camo. As you can see, it's got a camo finish on it. I just thought that was kind of cool, and it kind of blends in, pretty well. This is the top of it. It says Dome. So let me go ahead and turn it on. You can kind of get a sense of how this sounds, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So it's got a power switch on the sides. Now I have it set up with a remote, so I can actually turn it on and off from my bed if I want to. But it's got two levels of power, so this is low. And then let's try high. And then you also can control the way that the air comes out of these vents by just turning the top to customize how you want the sound. And also the bass turns as well. So let's play around with that and you can get a sense of how the sound can change. Let me set the camera down to do the bass because you kind of need two hands to do that. You kind of want to grab it by the black part and then turn the bass because it's a little bit tight. See how it gets louder? So more air comes out of here as you turn this. So you can kind of really customize it. See, it gets more dim as you close that down. So I really like this. Not that I really have major problems sleeping. I do have some problems sleeping sometimes, of course, but it's not something that's chronic for me. But I live near some train tracks, and they do run trains in the middle of the night sometimes, and sometimes they blow the horns at like 3 a.m., and so that tends to wake me up. I live within I think half a mile of some train tracks. So this helps block out that. So at night, I just pretty much hear this and it blocks out the outside noise. Also, my bedroom sort of overlooks a courtyard area outside where people walk their dogs at night, and sometimes those dogs bark, or, if two neighbors are walking their dogs, sometimes the dogs bark at each other or they try to fight, stuff like that. So there's always some kind of little interruption in sound that can really disrupt your sleep. So this thing really helps block that sound out quite a bit. But even without those external things, it just provides a soothing sort of sound environment for you to sleep under or sleep in, and does kind of help you sleep once you get used to it. Now, one of the things I like about it, it's got a kind of really nice, pleasant sound to it. It's an analog sound. As I mentioned, it's an actual moving fan inside here. So I like this better than something that produces a fake electronic sound. A lot of the sound machines that produce a fake electronic sound have a loop, and sometimes that's not good because your mind will learn to anticipate that loop, like when the sound's going to kind of reset, and then it'll actually not be as relaxing. So this is kind of relaxing. And again, it doesn't actually blow air around the room or anything like that. It's an asymmetrical fan inside that doesn't actually blow air outside of this device. It just blows air inside. It also comes in a few different colors. This is the camo one, which I think is kind of cool, but it also comes in black, white, sort of an off-white and cream color, and even a pink color as well too. And they have a couple of different models. They have a cheaper model that's like made in China that only turns one way here on the chassis. But this model is the Dome Classic, and this one is actually still made in the USA. So I kind of recommend this model. I'll post a link in the description field for these. And I think these were originally invented, I want to say in the 40s or maybe maybe 50s by, I think it was a scientist or a doctor whose wife was having trouble sleeping. And what he ended up doing was putting a fan in an inverted pet food bowl. That's how he invented this. And I remember as a kid in like the 70s and 80s, sometimes you would go into doctor's offices or, you know, offices where they had like psychologists and therapists, where they would have these in the waiting room, and it would just be on like somewhere in the waiting room. And I always thought it was kind of weird. Like as a kid, I was always going, you know, what's that weird noise that sounds like a fan? And I would look around and I would see one of these, because the other thing that this can do is block out conversation. So like, you could actually put this outside of your door, and that would prevent somebody from listening in on your conversation. Other thing it's good for is if you live next to a neighbor, like if you share a wall with a neighbor and the neighbor's kind of noisy sometimes, this will help block that out as well. It'll block out the neighbor's noises and stuff. It doesn't block out like if they have like a really deep bass, like a subwoofer or like big speakers or something like that. It's not going to block out that booming, but it will block out their talking and their music if the music's on, if they're not blasting their music. So I really recommend it. I really like it a lot. It's been helping me sleep quite a bit. I feel like my sleep is not as interrupted by, you know, external noises with this. And of course, in your bedroom, you also want to do other things to help you get the best night's sleep as well. One of the other very important things is blackout curtains. And you want to also make it as dark as possible, because there are studies out there that have shown that you produce more melatonin in your brain when you're asleep, when the room is completely dark. So even if you have like LEDs or clock radios and stuff like that are making any kind of light in the dark room, you want to cover those LEDs up and stuff like that to make the room as dark as possible. The darker, the better. And you will get a better sleep that way. And then of course, temperature also plays a factor as well. You don't want to be sleeping too hot in the room. You actually want to sleep pretty cool to get a better night's sleep. And then also they say that you shouldn't use your cell phone or a computer, I think something like 1 hour before you go to bed. That's something that I still need to work on myself, but there's all kinds of things you can do to help yourself sleep better and get a full night's sleep. And, you know, doctors do recommend that you try to get a full 8 hours of sleep per night. That's the best for both mental and physical health. And I'm not going to go into all the benefits of getting a good night's sleep in this video, but needless to say, getting a good night's sleep, getting like 8 hours of sleep is very restorative both to your mental health, but also your physical health as well. It helps prevent things like cancer and Alzheimer's and things like that. So you don't want to be sleep deprived. And this is one of the tools that helps a lot for that. So that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching. Again, this has been my look at the white noise sound machine. And it's actually, speaking of white noise, it's actually, I think, more like a pink noise technically. But I'll go ahead and leave it with you on. I'll turn it on low, and we'll just roll out this video with it on. And you can maybe relax for a minute or two with the sound.